Hello. Right. So access once again, and this is going to be the last basic tutorial that we go through before tackling access with instructions and activities. There's been about 12 videos in total, jam-packed with content and little instructions and tutorials to help you through this application. And today I want to say that we are going to look at basic calculations. Okay, basic calculations that we're going to be doing. They do get a little bit more advanced, but for now we just want to look at basic calculations. And there is something that we need to understand when you're doing calculations in Access, and I will speak to you about that, going through the steps in doing this and how to do it. Right, so guys, if we look at, again, I just want to say I'm very impressed with this little table or this database that we've created from the comfort of our homes, and I think it's just worked out quite nicely. And again, I make reference to my table. Okay, we can agree that the way we've worked to getting a table that looks just like a lot of cells, to getting it into a form with, I know that looks terrible, but I mean how to play around with it and how to get it into a report. I think we've done pretty well in working through different little features and techniques. So coming back to this report, I feel like it's missing some calculations, and coming back to our story that we spoke about yesterday, being a bursar at the school, it's great. It's really great to see who owes me money and what still needs to be paid, but it bugs me that I don't have a total value at the end. And we can put this in. It's just going to round this document off so nicely. So we need to be able to do it, and I'm going to show you how we do that today. So in essence, I want to see how many people I'm working with. Okay, so I want that figure to appear, and I want this figure to appear here as well, because we all know that actually on a daily basis the amount of school fees that are owed can change. I mean, people can come in and pay all their school fees in a day. So we can look at it a daily basis, or we can look at it a weekly or a monthly basis. Okay, so let's get into it. Again, our favorite view is our design view, and please understand, we are working in the report, not in the table. So we're going to go into the report, and we're going to go into the design view of the report, and we're going to be doing some calculations. Now, I just want to bring to your attention quickly that if we look at the page footer, we saw that the date appears over there, and that calculation or function looks very similar to that of Excel. Equal now, open bracket, close bracket, and that's great. However, and this is the big however, when we do calculations in Access, okay, we are actually going to be using field names. Okay, we're using field names. They don't have a value like a cell reference would have in Excel, so we're actually going to be doing a calculation with field names. That is the first thing. The second thing is we've got to use two sets of brackets when we're doing a calculation. Okay, so I'm going to show that to you when we actually do it, and yeah, I'm sure that you'll get the idea of this. Okay, let's go. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the calculations in the report footer over there. And if you were wondering, if you opened your database and it still had all of this at the bottom, all that you do is you just got to uncheck the group and sort button, and it will disappear, and you'll see your report footer area that you can work in. Again, you can expand this depending on how much you want to work with, but that is rather sufficient. Okay, so just to do that again, I just deselect my group and sort button. It will take away this information. It doesn't delete it. It's still, you guys can still see over there, it's still grouped, sorted it from the highest to the lowest value. I'm just no longer working in it, so I don't need to see it. So we want to do a calculation. Okay, and how are we going to do this calculation? Well, we can't just start typing. Nothing's happening. So what we need to do is, on the design tab, we need to go into the control section, and we're going to put in a text box. Now you're asking, why are we doing a text box? Because if you paid attention to what I said earlier, when doing calculations in a report, we use text fields, also known as labels. Okay, so we're going to draw our label in, or our text box in, and we're going to make reference to our calculation and to whichever label we need to use to get that information. So I click on the text box. It will activate a little drawing section for me, and again, like I said in the previous video, to get these things to line up takes time and it takes practice. Okay, I think our biggest goal right now is just to be able to get the calculation working and to get the answer in the report, and we can look at aligning it and making it very, very pretty at a later stage. But for now, it's the basics. How do I get it in? Okay, so I've got on my control, I've selected the text box option, and I'm going to draw it in. Okay, you can make it any size, but again, the size that I'm drawing there I think is sufficient. And you'll see that there are now two boxes that appear. One that normally says text 15, right, which we can just bring a little bit into the picture over there, and we have the Unbound. So please take note, sometimes they do move together. Okay, you can move them separately, it's up to you. So as you can see, I'm just playing around now with mine, and I can move it. If you click on that little dark square box at the top there, it will move it separately from the text. Now what is going to happen is, in the text 15, you'll see I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and I actually want to put a label. So just like all the labels that we've put over here, I want a label to appear. So what I'm going to put there, I'm going to put in any label that's going to tell me how many people are in this record. So I'm just going to go amount of records. Okay, you can see they're overlapping, so I can move this around, put it there. I can make this one a little bit bigger, and then I can obviously change the font a bit. Home tab, can make it bold, can increase the size, and can make it bigger. Okay, so there's the label, and you'll see I'm actually just aligning this with the other labels in the report so long, so it all aligns nicely. Again, this takes time, and we will perfect it at a later stage. Now where it says the Unbound part, okay, that is where we're going to be doing the calculation. Now we can actually use any of the labels. Okay, we can either use the name label or the surname or the emergency number. And the reason why I say that is because those fields have been completed in the table that we extracted our information from. So if we have 11 names, and I'm sure we had 11 records if I can remember from the table, If I have 11 names, that means I had 11 surnames, which means I had 11 contact numbers. Okay, and for this example it will work because I completed it, but you might find that you'll have in an exam you'll have 40 learner names, but there are some surnames outstanding and you might only have 30 surnames. So you need to be careful which field you use. Always use the one that is most complete. Okay, so in this scenario, all my fields are the same. They've got values in it, but I'm just going to use the name field. Okay, so what I do is over here, I just want to set this up nice, a little bit bigger for me, and here we go. We're going to make this a little bit bigger as well. Size 14. I think I used 14 on this side. I did indeed. So let's start working. We start our calculation off with the equal sign. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to count the amount of people. Okay, we want to count. So our function is going to be equal count. Okay, because we want to see how many people. We can use count or we can use counter, but for the purpose of this, I'm going to use count. Okay, I open it as if I was working in Excel, a round bracket. Okay, but because we do not have a cell reference over here, we've only got label names. We've got to put directly after the round bracket, we put a square bracket. Okay, because if we look at a label, it's in a square box. So we need to use a square bracket. And because we are using a label name, it has to be the same way as what it presents itself over there. So I'm going to be counting the names, right? Now please look what I've done. I've put names. The label says name. So if I spell it incorrectly, or if I do my own nonsense, it's not going to work because it has to be, it's character specific, okay? It's label specific. So I'm going to remove the S over there. Okay, I want to close the square bracket again, and I put a round bracket. So I'm hoping to achieve now that this answer that I get in this calculation is the amount of records. Okay, I hope this works. We will have a look at it now, and we are hoping to get an answer. Okay, a report view. And look at that. There is a total amount of records of 11 people, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted to achieve. So I'm happy with that. Yes, there is a big border around the answer 11. That is the least of your worries right now. The fact of the matter is you got a calculation to count the names, and it works. Okay. Go back into the design view. To make that bracket a little bit smaller, I can decrease the size of it. Okay, and if I go into the report view, you can see the box is getting smaller and smaller. But again, like I said, least of your worries. We just want to see how many people were in there, and I can put it underneath. I can put it wherever I actually want to. Really, it doesn't have to be next to each other. It can be underneath each other. I can, as I wish. So number of records 11. I like it like that. And now we're going to do the calculation of the total outstanding. All right. So let's go back into our design view. This is going to be the second little calculation that we do. And again, we are using a text box. I draw it in over here, wherever. Okay, I will do the editing later. You'll see I get another text box. Okay, and that is a little label that we can create. Okay, I just want to make it the same size. Sorry guys, it's my OCDs that are kicking in here. And make it a little bit narrower. And we said that this needs to be size 14. Again, as long as it's in there, it's okay. It's just me being Mr. Rudman. I mean, it's understandable, right? And I'm just setting this up because I'm a little bit of a OCD freak. Okay, now I'm going to label this exactly the same as what I did over here, but I'm going to put this one under the outstanding school fees, and I'm going to put the heading over there. And the heading for this one that I want to use is, I want to say there, total outstanding. Okay, total outstanding. Okay, again, we can play with it, bold it, center it, whatever, we can do it. So at the end of my report, I'm going to have this little heading, and now we need to do the calculation. This is going to be a bit of a big one because our label is a big label. So what we need to do is we need to start. We're going to go equal sum or total. See, this is a big game changer now. Do I use equal sum or do I use equal total? Let's play with both of them and let's just see, because I want to give you guys a mistake that if it does happen, we can correct it. So I'm going to go equal sum, round bracket, square bracket, and now we've got to put that label in as it is over there. So it's a capital outstanding school fees. Close the square bracket and close the round bracket. So I've used equal sum outstanding school fees because I want to get a total amount for this outstanding school fees. Okay, so you'll see I've actually, let me just move it here so you guys can see, it's a very, very long calculation because I've got to type in the field name. Okay, I've got to type it in because that's where I'm getting my information from. So I've used equal sum. Let's see if it works. If I go to my report view, look at that. It has my total. Okay, it absolutely has the total. That is outstanding, and that is fantastic. Okay, what would have happened if I said equal total? Okay, we just want to see what happens. Equal total. Okay, and if we go equal, there we go, I get a parameter value, so it's not going to work. I'm not happy with that. So equal sum stands as the calculation. Okay, so we will use equal sum. All right, and if we go into our report view, there's the value over there. Okay, so I'm pretty stoked with that. I really am. So we do get a value at the bottom, and I think that is pretty cool. I just want to see something quickly. If I change my format, I'm just playing around with something quickly. I just want to test something. Boom. Right, what I did over there is, if you click on this little label, the Unbound label, and I click on the property sheet at the top, you'll see over here here's a whole list of properties over here. Okay, this format, data, event, other, and all. So what I did was this one was on I think it was on general number, if I can remember correctly. Let me just see. It was on general number. Okay, and what I did was I wanted to look exactly the same. In other words, it has to have the currency, it has to look the same. I mean, yes, 16,125 is correct, don't get me wrong, because hello, there it is over there. It's in our table as correct, but I want the formatting and standard to be the same. So all that I did was I went into my design view, I went onto the property sheet, and then on the all section, I went to format, I dropped down, and I changed that to currency. And again, we can do decimal places as well, should we wish. Just for the sake of it, I'm just going to do 2 decimals. And if I go report view, Look how classy that looks. I've got 2 decimal places on my outstanding fees report. My total outstanding is the same. I've got 11 records, so this report in essence links up to my table over there. And we've done this very, very professionally. Okay, so that in essence, guys, is the calculations. We can do an average as well. We can do it if you want to. It would require exactly the same skill set to do it. The only difference is average. We don't type the full word average out. We just go AVG, and it will give you the answer. So if I go into design view and I just went, for instance, I changed my sum to AVG, report view, there it gives me the average. And in the first video or second video I said it's not a good indication because there's a big discrepancy from the person that owes the most to the person that owes the least. So in Excel we would have typed out average like that. Again, what happens in Access if we have to run it, it's going to give me a parameter value, and that is an indication that it's not really working well for us. So if we want to do an average in Access, it will be AVG, but we use a equal sum to get the total amount out. That is outstanding, and there we have it. I really hope that these 11 or 12 tutorials have made you feel a little bit more comfortable with Access. Again, there's so much more that you can do with Access. This is just the basics, just to run through a table, how to create it, how to create a query, a form, and how to do a report. I really hope that they help you guys, and that somewhere in these 11 or 12 videos you can make reference to doing your practicals. So thank you very much. And please utilize it. It does help to a degree. Thanks, guys. Cheers.